Hi, I'm Rajneesh.
And I'm Bridget,
Welcome to Terra Science.
the podcast where reality matters.
Hello, welcome to Terra Science. My name is Rajneesh Khanna. I'm a plant scientist, and today I have a very special guest, Sarah Darpinian. And Sarah has started a wonderful community garden, and you can see it behind us. It has flowers, it has vegetables, and it just a very welcoming space. And I think it just provides a great opportunity for the community to come and get together. And there's also a farmers market. So today we will talk about all of these things with Sarah and how it started, what was the purpose, what did she have in her mind. As we have discussed many times in our podcasts, local food has a very important role to play in our future. Food travels a lot and it's harvested early, and also especially in urban areas, growing food is so important for children and even teenagers to be close to how food is grown, because that connectivity with food has been lost and we are losing it more and more. So having a space like this, Sarah, is really key and very important. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So before we get started, please tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start all of this program?
Okay. So I'm a homeschool mom, and another friend of mine was a homeschool mom, and we got together and decided that the Central Valley needed a children's gardening class. We thought it's very important to teach children where food comes from, how to grow it, all about the earth around them. And so there was already an existing community garden in Ripon called Ripon Community Garden. They're a little different from us because they have boxes that people can rent out to grow food if they can't grow it at their own home, or if they want the community aspect of gardening with others. So we approached them and asked if we could rent some space from them to have our children's program. This was a free program. Anyone was welcome to come with children and participate, and we were shocked that the first meeting we had about 70 children show up. So we knew that this was something that the community was interested in and supportive of. So we were able to grow there. We got up to renting 8 boxes, but we were looking for our own space in the meantime. We really wanted a space where the children could run and play and nothing was off limits, and just more space to do more programming and grow more food. So we found this space here where we are, and it was a vacant lot at the time. We partnered with the Pilates studio who owned the space, and we turned it into a community garden in terms of more of like an educational garden. So we don't have any boxes that we rent out to people, but we do educational programming, free field trips for children. We do a farmer's market where we don't sell our produce, but it's a fundraiser. Vendors come in and sell their wares and produce, but we do all kinds of community events, and then all the produce that we grow is donated to food pantries, children's crisis centers, and schools. So that's kind of the gist of how we got started and what we do.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what kind of things do you grow in the garden?
So it just depends on the season. Currently we have eggplant, peppers, cucumbers, butternut squash, watermelons, tomatoes, figs, herbs. I think that's everything. We're getting ready to start our fall crop that will be ready to harvest in either late fall or winter, depending on the crops. But I know we'll be getting ready to grow some brassicas, like broccoli, cauliflower, potatoes, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, onions, beets, things like that.
Wow,
so,
that's a lot. I'm sure people are listening, they're getting excited with all the food being mentioned, which sounds delicious. So it's great. And so before we get into a little bit more of the school programs, just wanted to focus a little bit on the gardening aspects itself. So gardening is labor intensive. So you need to coordinate who's going to be growing, how do you get fertilizers, and there are costs involved, especially when you're donating the end product.
Yes.
So can you just you don't have to give us the secrets, but you just give us like a broadly, how do you manage all of that?
Great question. It's definitely grown over the years, and last year we were able to receive a grant from the CDFA, California Department of Food and Agriculture. So we were able to use that funding to hire a farm manager and an education coordinator.
Great.
So they work together to kind of start the planting plans and kind of get an idea of what we're planting, and then usually most of what is planted happens within a field trip. So children that come are able to help do the planting or harvesting depending on what stage the garden is in. Now, of course, we have volunteers and the farm manager that does additional work, in the meantime between field trips. But most of it has been funded through in-kind donations. We get plants from Ace Hardware, who's our neighbor. We get plants from other local nurseries. We've gotten multiple grants that help fund the projects, and up until last year we were all volunteer ran, and so there are challenges that come along with that, but this year we've started to have staffing to help with coordinating everything, since it's so much.
Yeah.
So
No, that's great. I'm glad to hear that things are becoming more structured,
Yeah.
and it helps reduce the amount of work and effort you have to put in
Exactly.
yourself. And so the other thing is how produce is grown. One of the things that is a common question, and I teach a course as well, is organic. And what organic is not really very well understood. Obviously, there are things that farmers have to do to be certified organic. And I can imagine that over here it is mostly organic, or
Yes.
do you use...
It is all organic.
Yeah.
As far as we don't use any sort of pesticides or herbicides or anything like that. We're not certified organic, but we don't use anything other than just putting the plants in the ground. We add compost, things like that. But for the most part, I would say
It's
we're
organic.
organic.
Great.
Correct.
So the educational programs, one great aspect already is when kids come, different ages, and just interact or touch the soil.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have field trips.
Yeah.
And they plant and they harvest. What a great opportunity, because these days many families live in multi-storied apartments and they don't have this kind of access.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, understanding of how plants grow, the role of soil, the nutrients. So I'm sure the educational programs go into that. And do you collaborate with any schools, local?
We do. Yeah, we have. It's mostly at this point Ripon elementary schools that have been coming, but we have had schools from Manteca. We will be having some from Lodi this year. We have Modesto schools. And anyone is absolutely welcome. It's just sometimes the transportation is an issue getting students here. But we do have 2 Ripon elementary school classes that come once per month, so they kind of get to see the garden throughout the year. But we do also, we have worm composting lessons, so that goes into soil
great.
health. And we have, we talk about parts of a plant and what parts are edible, and, just bringing in different things and showing kids that, even like our clothes are made from plants, and just how much we are interacting with plants on a daily basis, not just even eating them, but other ways as well.
Great. And tell us a little bit more about the farmers market then. So these
yeah.
vendors, they're here, they're able to sell, and
Yeah.
I've had the wonderful opportunity to visit it,
Yeah.
and there's really good food.
Yeah.
Also food vendors and artisans as well.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of several different types of vendors.
It is. It's a really unique farmers market in that it's very family friendly. We really promote people coming out, visiting friends, meeting up with friends, coming to see their favorite vendors. There's lots of space to sit. The garden is open, so we actually do the farmers market in the parking lot. Although there are some vendors back in the garden, it's mostly food, and we do have beer as well, which is kind of unique. So there's plenty of spaces to sit and relax. You can stroll through the farmers market, get your produce, bread, soap, cheese, houseplants, coffee. And then we always have a live artist, which is just a local artist from the community. And they're featured out in the front. They're doing their art, and they have the ability to sell their art as well. We do a lot of free programs for kids. Like this week we have a martial art class on our lawn.
Great.
The lawn is open, people can picnic. It's a different type of farmers market because it really encourages people to linger and stay and interact with the community. And we always have live music as well.
Well, while we're talking about it, you should mention where it is, and the name Garden Joy.
Yeah.
If we didn't mention
Yep.
before.
So the market is called Ripon Farmers Market. It's hosted by Studio Joy and Garden Joy, 929 West Main Street, every Thursday from 5 to 8, May through September.
To the garden. So the farmers market goes on until September.
Yep.
And the garden, as we can see, it's lovely, already growing lots of vegetables. So as you go through fall and winter, do you continue to grow like winter greens? How do you
Yes.
winterize?
Yeah, we will. We have in the past, but like I said, we were all volunteer run, so we are hopefully going to have better yields this winter. We have our farm manager who's working on the planting plan, getting everything set. He's starting to kind of gradually pull plants out that aren't producing as much for the summer and doing it in stages so he can pull one area out and then replant it. So yeah, we'll be planting all the brassicas, greens, things like that, and so we'll hopefully have a nice thriving winter garden this year
Great.
to keep for field
Well,
trips.
before we end, I just wanted to hear where do you see this going in the next 2, 3, 5 years or longer?
Yeah. Well, I think slowly but surely we're planning to continue to expand like our growing areas. Like the teepee over here, for example, will be moved up against the fence, and then this bed will be extended. Some of these other beds are going to be extended. So just growing more food every year. We've already, since hiring our 2 staff members, our highest yield to date was 2,000 pounds in a year, and we're already at almost 5,000 pounds.
Great.
And we still have hundreds of pounds out in the summer garden, and that's not including our winter. So just hoping to continue to expand our yields every year, expand the number of field trips that we can offer, classes and things like that. And I don't know, maybe sometime a second location, that might be 5-10 years down the road, but yeah, just keep growing.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much, Sarah. This
Yeah.
was really great, and
Yeah.
everything you've done, I think it's really a great place for community
Yeah.
and a very healthy idea for food, especially for younger ones to learn how food is grown and interact with it directly, and it's just a wonderful thing. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing all of that, and I'm sure Ripon is excited to have you and Garden Joy in Ripon.
Yeah.
And whenever there is a second place, we'll be back again to see that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
2 things that motivate me are the beauty of our environment and the uniqueness of our planet, of course, but also the people I've met and the fact that people do want to play a stewardship role.
Welcome to Terra Science.
The podcast where reality matters.
I thought microtubules might be processing information at this basic level. Here we are, another 30 years later.
I can actually say it. I'm going to be a scientist.
Excellent, you will be.
What was fascinating is what emerged from that was also a transformation in their consciousness.
If I try to do that, we're going to go down that rabbit hole.
Because I wrote it for people like you to get a sense of field biology, for women to appreciate the challenges.
In that process of detection, that molecule momentarily is bound to us. It becomes part of us. So it's this incredibly intimate encounter that we have with the things of the world around us.
We are consistently asking what's wrong with the student rather than what's wrong with the educational system today.
Maybe somebody will be inspired to also go into this field someday too. That would be amazing.
Well, I hope so.
Welcome to the Terra Science podcast.
The podcast where reality matters.